Hello, workmates. Welcome to Work and Talk in PH, your go to podcast for lifestyle insights, career convos, and real estate realness, where chill convos meet real life lessons because it works.
I'm Mary Chris, and today we're slowing things down to talk about something you've probably been hearing a lot, but still don't fully understand artificial intelligence or AI. It's changing the way we live and work. But what does it really mean for people like us? Let's make sense of it together. Here with us is someone who is deeply creative, thoughtful, and no stranger to navigating big shifts with art. Maggie Po. So Maggie, AI is prevalent in today's workplaces. So how is AI, helping your industry and in your workspaces?
Yeah. So, full suite, the last 2 years, we've actually did the shift to what you call human in the loop
Yeah.
system. So, a lot of our customers are AI focused tech startups, right? So, we're not an AI development firm, but what we do is that we work with a lot of the startups that develop their own AI. Either off the rack using OpenAI Claude, and then they train them for a specific
Task.
subject domain. And then, so what we do is that, so we deal with probably, other than the off the rack solutions, we probably deal with like about 10 to 20 AI models in the company.
Yes.
So we work with AI a lot. And what we do specifically is that this AIs are trained to go through different types of documents in the private capital market, usually contracts, right? So like fundraising contracts, sometimes it's like vendor contracts, right?
So
like
the AI does the initial
yeah,
draft?
depending on the maturity of the AI of our customers, they either, so for example, some clients, their AI could only capture structured data, right? Because AI learns based on what it is being fed. And, I'm an accountant
Yes.
by training. So in accounting, we always say, trash out, right? So in AI also, it's like garbage in, garbage
Garbage
out.
out.
So if your AI is not trained enough, it's a bit dangerous to feed it unstructured data. So they tap full suite, because what we do is that we structure the data for the AI, so that, think about, teaching a 6-year-old how to read,
Yes.
versus, like discussing a book with a teenager.
Correct.
So if they're still a toddler stage, like their AI
It's
maturity is
still
a toddler,
infancy.
we kind of like spoon feed the structured
Okay.
data. So we do three things. We feed the AI structured data, and then if the AI is in a space, and we work with a lot of customers that where the AI does the initial one. So way back in 2018, when we were starting this, we do a lot of the first one where we had to feed it structured data, because giving it like a document,
Yes.
a lease agreement,
Yes.
it wouldn't know how to do it really well.
Yes.
But now there's a lot of the AI like could actually do the first, what we call like parsing, right? Or the first extraction.
Yeah.
So what we do then is to just like keep the AI in check and look like, do I agree? For example, do I agree that this contract, the date of this contract is this? Do I agree that there's a rights of first refusal here, right? Do I agree that there's pro rata rights
Yeah.
agreement? So that's the second piece that we do for our clients. We audit their AI. And the third one is that, because the second and the third always comes together. So the third one would be like, we audit their AI, and then we found out that we decided that, okay, this is wrong.
Yes.
The AI is extracting it wrong, and it's very common. And so we correct it. The correction allows the AI to learn that, like, oh, where in situation I saw this,
Yes.
I was told this is wrong, and it's supposed to be this. So when you're training the AI, it's very important to not actually just change the, oh, you're saying yes here when it should be. We have what we call citations. So it could be called any, depending on which company it is. But citation basically tells the AI, your answer is wrong, and this is why it is, and
Yeah.
this is where the correct
How
answer
long
is.
normally is the timeline for to start an AI and to make it like to graduate grade school? I mean, to be able to have its mind and its own, to be in high school.
If it's just purely data, you need like millions and millions of data points, right, for it to actually learn. Because remember, AI learns through patterns, right? So it doesn't have the relational value, relational knowledge where like a young kid touches this this
It's
coffee
just
cup, and it's hot.
Yes.
And then the next time it sees something like
Yes.
that, it like, oh, I'm not gonna, you do this.
Yeah. It's all about the data that you feed.
Yeah, and it has to be like, there has to be enough, right? The sample
Yeah.
size has to be big.
And
But
more
what
complicated
yeah.
data.
Yeah, and the more complicated it is, and
The more
nuanced,
smarter
yeah.
the
And
AI will get.
yeah, and then the AI in contracts is a really big industry in the US because, as like contracts are never like standard,
Yes,
right?
yes.
You could have they all have the same pages, they all have the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
sections, but then there's a little bit, and
Like,
you guys, I mean, clears being
yeah, one or two words that's being changed, it changes
and
the
it
whole
changes,
meaning
and
of the clause.
yeah, and so we're probably one of the fewer companies here in the Philippines that have worked with a lot of AI models, right? Just because of who our customers are. It doesn't matter what the model
Yes.
is. The work that we do is quite similar. We help ingest like a lot of contracts.
Yes.
And it could be like reports, so contracts or report, either training the AI or together with
Yes.
the AI, get this report processed in the system so that the customers would then look at their front end and say, for this contract that I have,
Yeah.
or for this investment, these are all my rights, right? And this is how it's valued now. This was the amount that I come in. Because when we're talking about our customer's customer, and some of our customers are venture capital firms, and if they're really big, they're probably been in operation for over 20-30 years,
So they have
and
a lot of data already to feed the AI.
yeah, and then it's not just the initial investment, right? That like they probably invest. Some of them invest maybe 2 or 3, but
Yeah.
others would invest over 100 to 200 companies a
Yes.
year, and in each of these companies, it's not just like one investment data. Once you are a portfolio company of an investor, there's a responsibility, if you have information, like, to give them like, okay, these are our updates, right? This is our financial statements from the quarter. These are all our board decks. So once you invest, once a firm invests in a portfolio company, it continuously, especially if it's information,
Yes.
right? It continuously receives this data. And the beauty in this industry is that, and the beauty of our customers
Yeah.
is that, for the longest time, this has always been manual. There's an analyst in the
Yes.
firm that like, okay, now I have to, there's a weekly
Manually.
Tuesday report that I now have to say what's going on with this
Yeah, yeah,
portfolio
yeah.
company we've invested
Yes,
like last
yes,
year. So they now have to go through the manual
Yeah.
documents, and that really gets very repetitive, and there's a lot of errors. So now what our customers do is that they provide solutions to these firms and
Yes.
say, we are your repository. Not only are we your repository,
the
we're also
reporting.
your first level analyst,
Yes,
right?
yes.
You put all your data into our system,
And they can
and
report.
we can tell you, this is companies like this in our data set normally exit in like 3 years,
Yeah.
or normally increases their
Yeah,
value
yeah.
for X from 4
Yes,
years from
yes.
the investment. But the AI can't do that without the data
Being
being
fed.
fed and being fed correctly.
Yes,
So
yes.
that's basically where we exist, and basically how that's what we do
Yeah.
on a
For
day-to-day
people
basis.
that's not in the tech world, that's very traditional conservative that think that AI is a threat. So how do we convince people that AI is not a threat, but it's really a way to help things processes make it more efficient?
Yeah.
Like if they don't use it, they're gonna be left behind.
Yeah. I always feel like there's always a lot of noise when something unfamiliar starts, right?
Yeah.
And AI, being AI, has been here for like over 50 years, right? Just like,
Really?
yeah. So what really is on the mainstream
Yeah.
now is what you call generative AI, right? But you have robotics, which is also
Yes,
another,
yes.
robotics has been
Here for a long time.
for a long time. So generative AI, and it is just like the piece of AI that went
Generative
into
AI is the
mainstream.
chat GPT.
Yeah. So it's the one that generates, right? And they
Generative
and the
AI.
danger also for generative AI is that it hallucinates, because again, it doesn't understand language. It doesn't have context on the language.
Yeah.
It looks at the language, and then it looks at the millions of examples it has been fed for that, and say, oh, this is what it means.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have an idea of, like, when you say heartbreak, you can
Yeah.
already feel, right, what heartbreak means.
Yeah.
But when it explains it, it doesn't
Doesn't
know,
it
because
doesn't
I mean,
know.
it's not
It's just
sentient.
words
Yeah.
for the AI.
So my example always, when people, this, that's a very common
Yeah, yeah.
question that they ask, like, oh, are you not scared you're putting your company out
Yeah.
of job, right? Because
Yes,
it's like,
yes,
you're
yes.
training the AI who will
Yeah.
soon replace your people,
So
because
the AI will never be smarter than humans.
well, I think it's not so much as like, for example, like, AI is just another piece of automation, right? That allows a certain way of that a certain current way of doing things, make change it so that it gets more efficient. For example, when I was growing up, every weekend my mother always tells me to do laundry.
Yes,
And
yes.
laundry, like, I mean, I came from a poor family,
Yes.
so the washing machine then, right?
It's very expensive.
Yeah, yeah. But so I have to do the hand, but right now you have washing machine
Yes,
at our
yes.
house now where you just put all your dirty laundry and
Yes.
then 5 hours later you go and it's like it's clean.
It's clean and dry.
It's clean and dry. You never had to hang them.
Yes, yes.
And so but like so I think about AI as a automated washing machine, right? Where you used to have to go through
The
thousands
manual.
and thousands of data and
Yeah.
like look at this and then encode,
Yes.
right? You feed a PDF and then the AI extract it, and now your job is to just check, oh, does that make sense? So I think it's a normal human behavior to like kind of like get threatened or get scared,
Yeah.
because if you don't know what it is and all you've ever heard is like, oh, it's going to replace, there definitely are jobs that's gonna get replaced, right? And jobs that will just not exist. And before cars, the main transportation was horses.
Correct,
Right.
correct.
And so there's an entire profession or jobs around
Horses.
yeah, like shoe shine,
Yes,
like
yes.
like the horseshoe and all,
yes,
right?
yes, yes,
But
yes.
ever since there were cars, then like it just gets replaced,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So that's basically what's gonna happen as AI
With this
became
technology revolution.
yeah. And as AI becomes more and more mainstream, and it's not gonna happen overnight as most
Yeah.
people. As humans, we are kind of like resilient, right? We always kind of adapt.
Yeah.
And the younger generation are just going to get used to like how things are done.
Yes.
Like before, at school, when you get to do an enrollment, you have to. I remember at
Line
Cineman,
up.
I have to line up at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like you will lose your
Slot.
slot in that section
Yes,
if you're
yes.
not. But now
you can
now
do it
it's all
online.
online. If you tell me online when I was 16,
Yes.
that would be really hard because at that time the internet was dial up,
Yes.
and it's like how can
expensive
you
to have a computer.
yeah, and then how can you do it? It takes so long. But now everyone, the young people, it's just very obvious.
Fast,
Like and
yes.
telephones, right? Over
Yes,
the
yes.
so it's one of those things where it just gradually become a part of our
Yeah.
lives. Obviously, there's going to be a generation, a work generation
Yes.
that's gonna get tied to that and say, am I AI ready or
Mm.
am I not? And
So I guess it's just having a mindset of continuous learning
yeah,
and not to be afraid to learn and not be complacent with the skills that we know, the knowledge and skills that we know,
yeah.
to be able to adapt to this technology revolution.
Yeah, and that's true because when they I see a lot of ads of like, hey, upskill, learn how to use AI, and I think that's also there are many ways to skin the cat. I'm not saying that that's wrong, and I
Yes.
think like you could go do that, but what would really set you apart when the AI use became mainstream is to become a subject matter expert, right? You need when AI the first level,
Yes.
right? When AI does the first level jobs, you cannot have the second step also be done by the person that does not know the
Correct,
subject matter.
correct,
Like for
correct.
example, if you're for you guys, you're looking at an analytics or a report
Yes.
from the AI.
Yes.
You can't have an analyst who doesn't understand the,
industry.
landscape. Yeah, like for example, even if it's a real estate
Yeah,
analyst in or a CRE analyst in the US,
Yes. Wouldn't
they
know
look
the
at it, they
Philippine-
wouldn't know because they don't know the
the
Philippine landscape.
yes.
Yeah. So I'm always telling my team that like, hey, I know that we're at the forefront of like the AI use because we're dealing with so many models every
Yeah.
day, and we've seen what they're good at, we've seen
Yes.
what they're not good at. But it really isn't the familiarity of how to use the AI, but it's really more of like, do you know the nuances,
Yes.
right? Do you understand the subject, the subject matter, and a lot. This is where education really works because it's quite if we continue to focus on like, oh, education should start giving AI courses, but not everyone can be engineers, right? And there will come a time. I'm a realist
Yeah.
between India, China, and the US, and like Israel.
Yeah.
I think Philippines is really really struggling, and it's like a fundamental problem, right? We're really really behind on the STEM,
Yes.
and so we're very unlikely to ever like how do you say that, off seat, right? Or
Yes.
kick
Yes.
these giants out
Yeah.
there. So we'll always be on the receiving end of like how the AI is being developed, but we will have nothing. There's no barrier to entry on subject matter expertise, right? Rather than just learning the job.
Yeah. So maybe Maggie can share with the audience why they can also really consider STEM, science, technology, all these math courses. Not for Filipinos, I think during the early generation, they prefer liberal arts, history, communication. But now with technology, Filipinos should really consider
I
not
think
getting intimidated with STEM.
I think yeah. I mean STEM. The good thing with STEM and is that it's a
I
very
think
practical
Filipinos are
course.
scared.
Yeah. So when I was growing up, I always wanted to be a writer. So I want to do literature.
Yeah.
And so I told my father, Tatay, I really want to write. And my Tatay was like, there's no money in there, right? Like go do business. And then once you earn money, then you can pursue whatever you want,
Yeah.
right? So I think they're definitely STEM is, I'd say it's practical,
Yeah.
but I think it doesn't really matter what the course you have, what the course that you have, because subject matter like here, for example, sales. There's no amount of you
Yes.
being really good at STEM. It doesn't matter if you're good at STEM.
Correct.
You're
Or
good
any
at
course.
analytics
Yeah.
that you could sell, right?
Correct.
Sell is very it's both art and science,
Yes, yes.
right? So and so selling or so when we talk about subject matter expertise, it's not just really the technical side because like in the industry, in hospitality,
Yeah.
for example, or in age, like let's say we don't have that problem here, but in the US no, in Japan, where
Yes.
there's an aging population, so there's a lot of there's a growing industry in like the age, home for how do you call
The
that,
care.
the care, right?
Yes.
The aged care. And so for that, like you could they could automate everything. You
Yes,
could have
yes,
the AI
yes.
to see when was the last time, oh, your
Yeah,
blood
that's-
sugar,
yes.
like looking at all the
All the-
patients, medical, but in the end,
All the equipment
yeah,
that
but
they
like
need.
the carer, like
Yeah.
the caretaker, right? You can't AI that, right?
Yeah.
That you can't AI compassion and you can't STEM
Even
learn
if Tesla
it.
has those robots.
Yeah. It's and so I think if there's one advice that I would tell like students,
Yes.
it would be really like pursue pursue a subject matter that interests you, not necessarily you love, because like sometimes you can never love your work 24/7, right? But something that interests
Yes.
you, because with interest comes curiosity,
Yes.
and with curiosity comes all the understanding of like, oh, this is the usual common thing to do this, but
Yeah.
how about for these little things? When you're curious about something,
Yes.
that's where a lot of the questions comes out, and these are the things that AI can never replace, right? Like for example, in a lot of these AI models in contracts, the accuracy of the AI is between 70% to 90%, right? But when you're dealing with contracts,
Yes.
especially if it's like $1 million
Yeah,
contract,
yes.
95% is not enough,
Yes, it
right?
has to be
Yeah,
100%.
but the person who could see that 5% is not somebody that does not know the subject matter,
Yes.
right? It really is. So like for lawyers, they will be saying, oh, lawyers are gonna go get like maybe definitely the lazy ones,
Yes,
right?
yes.
The ones that don't read all through the jurisprudence,
Yes,
the
yes.
ones that don't do the
Yes.
research. They would say paralegal's gonna be gone, because
Yeah.
why would a lawyer need a paralegal?
Yes.
But the thing is, an AI doesn't have the resourcefulness of an effective paralegal, right?
Correct.
That like, oh, I was told to look here, but it's not here. I'm gonna go make some calls to
Yes,
figure
yes,
out.
yes.
So an AI can't do that. So
It's just the whatever information is fed to the AI.
and what I like about this is that AI will always like level the playing field for
Yeah.
those who has the
Yeah.
grit, right? I mean, it will not level the playing field for everyone. It's just like if you have what it takes
Yes.
if you have what it takes to succeed in a particular career without AI, with AI you are now
You can-
well equipped,
Yes,
right?
you
Because
can succeed faster.
yeah, and you can compete, right? Because
Yes.
then you have like now you have resources to information, to automation,
Yes.
that
No
would
such
have.
thing as creative block anymore.
And then kasi like I mean, yeah, they always say, oh, writers will be gone. But I also feel like in the end, iba pa din, right?
Yes.
Like the way that the human brain works when it creates a story,
Yes,
right? It
yes.
creates a
Because
narrative.
AI doesn't have that emotion. It just fed information.
Yeah, yeah. And it just takes all this, it just takes what it's trained.
Yes.
So the thing with AI is that it takes what it is trained, but because it doesn't have relational knowledge, it tends to hallucinate, right? Because when like it's thought to always produce.
Yes.
But if the sample data is not enough, then it makes assumption based on like what the sample data is.
Yes.
So that's where human we call that. So full suite
Yes.
is what we call human in the loop. That's where the HITL
That's
value
why it's
is.
human in
Yeah,
the loop.
That's why it's called like
It's the human.
yeah in the loop, right?
Yeah,
You,
yeah.
So you're not outsider. You're
Yeah.
you're actually
feeding
part.
the AI,
Yeah.
but you also have the human
Yeah.
in the loop.
So like you're part, like it's because it's a loop. The AI needs to continue to be retrained because, for example, the world ever is constantly changing,
Changing.
right? So if it's not, we won't need that many lawyers,
Yes,
right? We
yes.
don't need that many accountants.
Yes.
It'll be if everything has been the same 50 years
Yes,
ago.
yes.
We wouldn't
Yes,
need to keep on
yes, yes.
hiring. We would have already set up automations,
Mm.
and that'll be like, but because there's always new things, humans are just naturally creative.
Yes.
That creates more problems,
Yeah.
and then no new problems. Then you need
New problems
yeah,
based on the technology
Yeah,
and on
yeah.
new situations.
yeah. And yeah, it's the same. It will always be evolving.
Maggie, during your presentation, Bacolod, you said in the 1800s gold rush, the most consistent winners weren't the diggers. They were the ones who built the rails, sold the tools, and moved the gold. When it comes to AI, how do you think we can position ourselves to be the ones building the rails, not the ones left behind?
Yeah. So I'm glad you mentioned that because I don't think we are pushing for that narrative enough in the Philippines. I felt like we're saying, oh, we have to we have to do a lot of we have to produce a lot of AI engineers. We now have to fix our entire education system to get more people to learn how to code, how to use AI. But if you go look in the California gold rush, right? When you're a gold miner, you don't always get the gold, right?
Yes.
It's like you could have dig in this
Wrong,
yeah,
wrong spot.
and you'll be digging for a week and
Yeah.
not get anything, and someone one just like whoop, oh, there's gold. But the ones that are always selling the ones that are selling the picks and the shovels,
Yes.
right, and the ones that are like there waiting for all the gold to get carried,
Yes.
right, like the trucking,
Yes,
the
yes,
shipping,
yes.
and the ones that are storing the gold,
Yeah.
they are the ones that made money. That's where like Wells Fargo, who's now part of the like the one of the bigger banks, right? That's where they like so for us, we are already in a position where we could own that market, right? Because our strong BPO, we've already done it with business process outsourcing, particularly in the contact center, right? And also now with knowledge process, because this is another work under KPO, right? So we used to have the BPO, and then now
Yes.
we use KPO because it's not contact center,
Yes.
doing more high level type
Work.
of work. So I am a really huge advocate for establishing Philippines as like, if you want to train your AI, and India right now is the one that's actually like owning that, right? But if you want to train your AI, you want to keep it in check. You want to continuously check it, reduce its frequency of hallucination. Look no farther, right? Because Philippines, like we're in a demographic dividend. There's a lot of young workforce here, and our English proficiency is still higher than any other non-English speaking countries in the
Yes.
world, right? So, and like a lot of all these documents, because AI is all data, right? So I don't know what's the percentages, but I'm pretty sure it's high, that it's all it's in English language,
Yes.
right? Which means that we are now already positioned to take over this without having to upskill everyone to like, hey, how do you get conversant in English?
Yes.
Because kids are taught using the English
English.
language
From the start.
From the start.
Yes.
So, like for me, instead of us pushing on like, producing more engineers, because useless for me, I feel like it's really useless to have a lot of engineering graduates, and then they don't have a lot of opportunities
Yes.
here in the Philippines to learn, right? Because how could they master or fine-tune their craft. When they go into a lot of the companies are also not AI equipped, right? So like you could do all these changes in the academic level,
Yes.
but if they don't have a practical application for this, and then the worst thing is that the really really good ones then would have to leave the country because the opportunity to learn is there.
Yes.
And it's very few. I know that we have a data, but I don't know. I read somewhere that once Filipinos leave, it's very very rare that they come back. They only come back when they're old now, because like like it's nice to grow old
Yes.
in the Philippines. So we will only experience brain drain if we keep on focusing on the tech, on like, oh, get more AI engineers, develop more people in data
Because they'll
analytics.
probably just leave
Because
peace
we
for
don't have,
them
yeah
here.
yeah how, like our the way that our a lot of the companies here in the Philippines, especially the local, were like like they're in all institutions,
Yes.
right? And there's a big hall, right, to change it, and we may not have that time. So but here, doing HITL
Yes.
services,
Human,
yeah, human in the loop,
what
like.
kind of background do you hire
So-
in Full Suite?
So that's interesting, because they say, oh, so you're hiring, you're looking at contracts, you're hiring law students,
Yeah.
or like legal graduates. We actually are very background academic agnostic.
Yes.
So we have people that are graduates in human, like HRM, or hotel restaurant management,
Oh, diverse.
or HR, or engineering, or IT. So what we are really looking for, and we're very heavy on fresh grads.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that if you're not a fresh grad you can, like, it's just that for us it just makes sense, because we are heavily in a our training, like, kind of like assume that you have not done any work
Yes,
before,
yes.
and therefore there's no habit to unlearn.
Yes.
Right, so they're
So
like,
it's easier for you to train.
yeah, it's just
No bad habits to unlearn.
and I know that it's not like there's a lot of
Yeah.
bad habits when you're but you get used to doing certain
Yes.
things, and you get used to, like, oh, in my previous company, this is how we
Yeah,
do
yeah.
it. So and so we, as long as you have a good hand on the English language, right, being able the comprehension, because it really is needed.
Yes.
Like, you can't train the AI if you don't know the basic
Yes,
English
yes.
language, especially if you're dealing with contracts where, like the way that the sentences are
Yes,
structured,
yes.
right? They're not the normal conversational English. But we've had proof of concept already many years ago that this type of work, you don't need to get like lawyers, right, to do it. You just need to get them first. They have to have the soft skills,
Yes.
right, and then the comprehension level of English
English.
has to be in a certain
Yes,
stage.
yes.
Otherwise it'll be a really, because it's not like contact center where you can do away with it because there's a script.
Yes.
Right. Here,
You have to
follow a
understand
script.
it.
Yeah, you can follow a script, because you can tell them to say, because the AI is already the one following the
Yes,
script,
yes.
and the AI is already saying you can look for it here, or you can look for these keywords. But
Your role is to find
yeah, you need to
those
find, right?
mistakes,
You need to
to
find,
make sure it gets to 100% and just not 70 to 90%.
yeah, that's true. 100% is nice, but we normally, like, right now in the industry, is okay between 99 to 99%, right? 98 to 99%. And so we and this is a really good way to also explore, right? Because that's what they call picks and shovels. We're not the one digging.
Yes.
We're the one supporting all the AI companies
correct.
all over the world, and that allows our people right here in the Philippines to never had to leave work. And
Your full suite workers are mostly from the mountain
yeah,
province.
they're mostly Pangasinan.
Pangasinan
Pangasinan,
that
because
go
it's so
up
easy. Yeah,
to
yeah,
Baguio
yeah,
to
yeah.
live there.
Yeah, because it's like just an hour away, and then a number of them are in the Cordillera region. We are also like opening an office now in Oriental Mindoro, and
oh, wow.
yeah, and then
You're gonna be the first BPO there. Why Occidental?
Yeah.
Oriental Mindoro?
maybe it was Occidental Mindoro,
Yeah.
right? So
Sablayan? You're opening
yeah,
up in Sablayan?
maybe it's like Sablay. So one of our key executive is actually based there.
In Mindoro.
Right, yeah,
You're gonna be the first BPO in Mindoro.
which is what we like, because there's a number of colleges there, and I always believe that, like 10% of the top 10% of any school will always beat the average a skill level of like the top schools, right? And because we're not hiring tens and thousands of students,
The
just
best.
get the best of the best. And we're talking about our organization will be like between 100 to 150 per offices. And 100 and 150 per offices, that's not,
So you get the best of the schools in Pangasinan.
yeah, so yeah, in
And then now
Pangasinan,
Mindoro.
Pangasinan, we work. Pangasinan State University sends us a lot of interns, and right, and so what they do is that they interned with us for three months, and
So they understand how the system
so
works,
we teach
process.
them, but we teach them with like synthetic docs, right? Because we can't put interns into a real client work. So we put them on like synthetic docs, or we train them on like how to learn about the industry.
Yes.
And do some tests, and do the actual work on like our own, like so, because our training program also set it up. We have a couple of companies that people can do like actual work, so that it's actually internal. And after 3 months, we pick the really best ones, and then we offer them a job.
How
And
how long has Full Suite been in Baguio?
we've always been we got incorporated in 2014 in Baguio already, but our office was here in Ortigas
Yeah.
for 2 years, and then 2014, no, for almost 2 years.
Yes.
And then on the third year, I got tired having to keep training people from UP, Ateneo,
then they
LaSalle,
leave
and
you.
then they get poached.
Yes.
And like the thing about it is, that has always, like, for me, I would never hold an employee hostage,
Yes.
right? If they have better
Opportunities.
outside, right? Because that's how you grow. Our hope is that they take the full suite culture,
Yes.
and then they go join another company,
Yes.
and hopefully they'll continue the learning culture
Yes, yes.
there. But that actually gave me an idea of like, okay, why would I may not be contributing to increasing the average level of competency of the labor workforce if I just keep on hiring people from Ateneo, UP, and LaSalle, which I ended up doing on the first two
Yeah.
years. So I said like, okay, maybe I go to the province and like get the really good ones there.
Yes.
The ones that wouldn't really go to
Metro Manila.
Manila, and therefore would have to settle on a traditional opportunity, because like in Baguio it's really very traditional, right? There are BPOs there, but they are only very few. It was only recent.
Yes.
And it was also like very strictly call center, but now there's a lot of like small businesses that are dealing with foreign markets.
Yes.
So now there's a lot of options there, but when I started there was none, right? And I just thought that was a gold mine to like be
Yes.
there and have access to like 15 colleges and
Yes.
universities, and to just like like pick the best one, pick the
Yes.
top people. And that's how I ended up thinking that there definitely is a model, a repeatable model.
Yes.
And I'm an advocate for countryside development, because I just feel like like there's so many countryside places to start
Yeah.
businesses. The market is so big
Yeah.
that like
It's not the Philippines is just not Metro Manila.
yeah, it's
And
not
the
just
talent
Metro
is just
Manila.
here.
And also like for me, it's like like even if another company would go in Baguio, there's just so many graduates that will never
You'll never run out of
yeah,
talent to hire.
we'll never have to compete for talent. And it's the case like in Negros,
Yes.
right? In a lot of cities in Mindanao.
Yes.
And the good thing about KPOs, which HITL belongs, is that you don't follow a script, right?
Yes.
It's really like it's like regular work, right? You're not like, oh, this the box, you can only say this,
Yes.
right? You cannot answer that. So I think that's somehow the challenge when you're working far too long in a contact center, because everything now like the problems that comes to you are all the same.
Yes.
But you're also kind of like limited on how you could fix it. But here, like in HITL work, it's really quite exciting, because it's like a kid, like there's a maturity of the AI, and as it matures, certain limitations starts popping up, and then you train
So
them
you have
there.
different babies.
Yeah, you have different babies, and the documents that you feed it is not structured, so there's always variety. But again, as I said, you have to really be interested in the subject
Yes.
matter, because somebody that does that job, and we know this because we've seen it, they then say, "Oh, I've been doing it for 6 months, 8 months, and like I feel like I know everything."
Yes.
But they feel they know everything because they're only doing it at a surface
Yes.
level. And the ones that have done it and really got interested, it just doesn't stop. There's
Yes.
just a lot of new
A
things.
lot of things to learn.
Yeah.
So tell us more about your full suite culture.
Yeah.
And how do you, make people stay with you?
So I wouldn't say so. Full Suite it's a young company,
Yeah.
right? Our 90% of our team is between 21 to 26. It's
Yeah.
very very young, and obviously there are good. So it's young. So
And it's fun.
so parties are fun, right? They all love our parties. We all do music videos, but then there's also the challenge there, because they've never worked before,
Yes.
right? And I do actually feel like we are, I think culturally, like mentally and emotionally, we are paying the result of what we did during COVID, right? Where a lot of the like for 2 years, everyone's life changed. Yeah, they're just at home.
In full suite, you're trying to get them out their comfort zone, getting
Yeah.
out of their shell,
And
socializing
we're
more.
we're on prem, so
Yeah.
we don't do remote. And I just
You're
feel
100% on
we're
site.
100% on site, and our narrative there is that I work remote because I move
Yeah,
around, so like
yes.
I work remotely, and I really think that there are certain level of skill set that works very well when to do remote. If you have subject matter expertise, if you've been doing the work
Yes.
for the longest time,
Yes.
remote works because it doesn't matter where you work,
Yes.
right? You are able to connect via Slack, via email, and know it. But if this is your first job, to do remote, there's a lot that's left in the table, and we always say like about conflict resolution. So a lot of people that we found out when they rejoin the
Yes.
workforce with us, and they've been doing remote for 5 years,
Yes.
because we do have that.
Oh, yeah, that
The adjustment, we see that they really struggle because they are not used to conflict, because it's so hard, it's so easy to shut down
Yes.
conflict when you're the only time you'll ever see your workmate is
on the screen.
on the screen, right? And so and they struggle to provide with when they're receiving feedback as well.
Yes.
Because it's hard when we're
Oh,
talking
yeah,
like
yeah,
this,
yeah,
right? There's more personal.
Yes.
There's more personal touch
Yes.
than it is when I'm just talking to you
In the
over
screen.
in the Zoom, right?
Yes.
And because you could see the body
Yes.
language,
Yes.
and so we are on prem, and I think that provides a very a specific culture for us, and that also and so the culture is, because it's young, so it's like fun. We have a lot of, it's an open space.
Open.
Yeah, it's like it's open, right?
Yeah.
So like there's no managers don't have their own offices.
Also same
yeah.
as ours.
Yeah. So I don't have an office
Yes,
there,
yeah.
right? So I
You
and
can sit anywhere.
yeah, you can sit anywhere. Although they have their own designated, but it's so we don't have separation.
Yes,
So
yes.
people like when it's not work, it's so loud,
It's so
right? Because they're
noisy.
like they're talking. So when it's like, so we provide meals twice a day, right?
Oh, free meals.
Free meals
once
twice a day. So that actually
Every day?
every day, right? Every
So
day.
it's a good way to bond.
Yeah, so that's why the culture is also geeky.
Yeah.
So like during lunchtime, people do board games, right?
Oh.
And like sometimes they do card, they play pool, they play billiard, because we have like a game room. If I'm to describe like the work environment, because it really is very
Yes.
important for the people
Yes.
being on prem, right?
Yes.
Like it so you'd kind of say that it's very start-uppy, right? Like like billiards here, open
Yes,
space, pantry,
Yes.
like food gets served. But yeah, so we don't do the work from home. It's there, and we are like first name basis,
Yes.
which is very common now
Yes.
for most companies, but which is very uncommon in Baguio. So in Baguio, maybe if we are in Manila, we'll be just like any other company, right? But in Baguio, they always keep on, even interns, because
Yeah.
interns, like we have a strong internship
Yeah.
program. They get culture shock on their first week, right? Like, we'll just call her Maggie,
Yeah.
right? Like, and then they're like old, they're all
Yeah,
young, because most of our HR people are like only 3 years, like this is their first
Yes,
job, right?
yes.
Have very, like at least 10 years of experience, but everyone else are pretty new. It's a very flat organization. It wouldn't
How
work for
big is
people.
Full Suite in Baguio already, Maggie?
We are now about 125.
And they still have that culture.
So we know that at 150 is the max. So we kind of start seeing a crack already, because I really think that it's 100 is where you could still do this and you can still put people in check,
Yes.
right? Beyond that, you can start getting people that don't care. We have guides,
Yeah.
but we don't have rules, right? So
Yes.
like these are the guides. Our values, we have core values, and when you're when you're about 50, everyone takes it by heart,
Correct,
right?
correct.
And then you started growing, and it gets
Yes.
harder. Somehow, I would give a pat, on the back on my team, my
Yes.
culture and people team, because like at 125, it would have gone a bit worse, but we still have it. And I think because 125 is not same shift, we
Oh,
actually have
three
two.
shifts?
We have 3 shifts with the mid shift overlapping the
Yeah.
day. So when
You're
you
servicing UK, US.
we're servicing only US. We're
You're
very
servicing
US.
US.
Yeah. But we have a day shift, because like for most of our day shift, actually our day shift is when there are for clients that have a longer
Like
cover.
new
Yeah.
clients.
No, like New York is evening, and shift is really when there's a lot, like there's just a lot of stuff to do, so they want an all our coverage, right? So that that gets continuously trained,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And data just gets entered into the system. But our day shift is also very heavy with interns, because the interns, like do the shift. And then our mid shift, it just so happened that because a couple of our clients have founders that
Yes.
are both in the US and UK,
Yes.
so we had to do the mid shifting. But so when you think about it, it's not 125 people in one
Yes,
shift,
yes,
right?
yes.
So it
It's
still
two
gets,
shifts,
yeah.
more or less two shifts.
And so we have breakfast is when everyone meets, right? So the night shift and the day shift
Yes.
meet. So that's the one that it's really, it kind of get, I
And
wouldn't
they
say
get to know
unruly,
each other.
but yeah. But that's how they know each other,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
That's good. And for your audience that's in Pangasinan, Mindoro, what's your advice to them that, if they have some, if they're worried that there's no opportunities, how can you advise them that there are opportunities, like, to stay where they are?
Yeah. So you definitely have a lot more options now than 10 20 years ago. Other than Full Suite, there's a lot of companies in the province that focuses on outsourcing to foreigners, and they are, like they're not always be
Yes.
known. So it's really important to do a bit of research, right? Like where these companies are. If they are servicing the US or the foreign markets, they'll be more active in LinkedIn, right? Because LinkedIn is where, especially for B2B, that's where a lot
So
of
they
like,
need to have their own LinkedIn.
yeah, I
they
think
need
as
to
early,
open their
yeah.
LinkedIn profile.
I feel like Filipinos are very Facebook. We
Yeah.
read about this when we're trying to advertise. We always get so many good candidates of Facebook,
Yeah,
right?
but not in LinkedIn.
But LinkedIn is very, when you look at LinkedIn, you have like they have LinkedIn profile and it's like 15 connections, right? so I like, so for students and even for like the early ones, it really matters to be in LinkedIn,
LinkedIn.
because that's where you to connect with people that you may not have
Yeah.
the chance
Yes.
in connecting, and it's a professional.
Your LinkedIn's updated, Maggie?
Yeah, I'm quite active in LinkedIn, but I don't.
Like how do you get yourself, like, my LinkedIn's not updated. Facebook is updated. Like, how do you
I'm a
update
Facebook
your,
person
how
because
do you
I'm
update
Gen
your
X, right?
LinkedIn?
So I'm actually on Facebook more than I am on LinkedIn. My career has always been working for either multinationals or US startups.
Yeah.
So the made along the
It's
way.
through
The only
LinkedIn.
way, yeah, because like, well, if it's professional,
It
I
has
don't
to
really
be
add them on
LinkedIn.
Facebook,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because I have my Facebook for friends and
yeah.
for the professional
Yeah.
connections that I'm like, oh, you're okay to take a peek on my
Yes,
private life.
yes.
But LinkedIn, before these days,
Yes.
before, many years back, it's purely professional. You don't
Yes.
really get to, no one talks about family there, or oh,
Yeah.
it's all about work, it's
Yeah.
all about career. So that's basically
So
how.
your posting is LinkedIn is different from
Yeah,
Facebook?
so my posting on LinkedIn is
Mm.
different from Facebook. And
LinkedIn is all about full suite, about how you're growing professionally.
yeah, so LinkedIn is more, LinkedIn, my LinkedIn really more about, like I talk about career there.
Yes.
And I talk about
Your
like
industry.
right, and I comment and like
Yeah.
things in like the private
Yeah.
capital market. We don't actually post openings there because
Yes.
our market is on Facebook. So
Yes.
if you look at our it's we're the spot
Yeah.
in Facebook. We're very active because our market is and Instagram.
Yes.
But LinkedIn is purely like for the
Professional.
professional, for business, well, purely business,
Yes.
right? Not so much on talent acquisition. But for people like provincial like talents,
They use Facebook and Instagram.
but I think people should start on LinkedIn because there is no better time than, like, the future work now is really exciting. It's
Yeah.
like less barrier, right?
Yes.
Like you can get connection, you can get mentorship
Yes.
by just finding people on LinkedIn and reaching out to them. And that's
And you
what-
can also learn from
you
the
can learn from their
links that they
post.
share.
Yeah, you from their post. You can have access to, like, people that you would not have
Yeah.
access to without
Yes.
LinkedIn, right? Like I a book that was really really great. I don't know if he was a Bloomberg writer or New York. Like, I forgot which writer. He's a pretty well known writer, magazine writer, who for a startup that he had a bad experience, and in a book called Silicon. And I really really like the way he writes, and it was entertaining. But it's and
Yeah.
I work with a lot of startups, but if it weren't LinkedIn, I wouldn't have been able to reach out, right? So reach out
Oh,
and discuss, like,
wow.
like you could
You
only.
sent him a message?
Yeah, I sent him a message and say, hey, I read your book, and it's like
And
really
he replied?
great. We still
You started
still
a
talk,
conversation?
right? And another book out, and so it's just one of those, like, I have been able to have conversations and Google
Yeah.
Meets, right? Like meeting with authors.
Really?
We never had, yeah, because LinkedIn, you think like there are people.
Okay, I need to improve
Yeah.
on my LinkedIn.
And when so another advice for like young professionals
Yeah.
is that the ones that, like, when you're seeking for mentorships and career
Yes.
advice, you go to the people that are really like have this authentic desire to
Yes.
help you.
Yes.
Will never ask you to pay for it, right? Like very fortunate
To have good mentors.
that first job, a P&G, Procter and Gamble, is really a strong advocate
So
for finding mentorship.
your first job is P&G.
P&G, yeah.
And you're an accountant. How did you end up doing AI and human in the loop?
Yeah, so it was in 2018. It was a really funny story. There was this company that we did an asset acquisition, and I
Under
took over.
P&G.
No, like, I already have my company.
Yeah.
I bought another
Yeah.
business, and a week later, the founder of the business became my chief marketing officer, and she was educated in the U.S. And so this is why LinkedIn is important, because network moves things, right? Network opens opportunity. And that's how I ended up into the HITL market.
Really?
Because there was a lead that came.
Through LinkedIn?
No, there was a lead that came from that acquisition, that and she got, because she was network with someone.
She got
right?
your first client.
So our first client in HITL, I got it because I bought this company and it closed a week before the lead came. So when the lead came,
You're
she
prepared.
gave it. So she gave it to Full
Yeah,
Suite. She did not own the company anymore, and that was how I ended up. So a lot of
So
this,
that's how it grew.
right? It wasn't something that I did research and I weigh pros
Yeah,
and
yeah.
cons and like, oh, I have to do
Yeah,
the
yeah.
HITL. It was really by accident. And so I got into the private capital market. And the good thing about working with US companies is that they're always on the forefront of a lot of technological like advancements, right? And so we were really quite early on the familiarity.
Since 2018.
So 2018, and it was very very young, because that stage OpenAI still did not went public,
Yeah.
right? It was only very few. Like, it was and there's already a lot of Filipinos here, BPOs, that did the but they actually
AI.
trained the OpenAI,
Yeah.
the OpenAI. But for us, our entry was always been in the niche. It was a private capital market space, and it's very hard industry to get
Yes.
into because it's all about networks, right? Like, so we grew with zero marketing and advertising, right? So
Wow.
like
Word of mouth.
yeah, it was just like referral from like the
Yeah.
like VCs whose portfolio company is our client and exited, and they're like, oh, give me another one of this,
Yeah.
like scale them. And so we don't advertise, we don't do market. It's really of like, if you get referred, then we check if culture
Yeah.
fit, and then we
Does your clients ask why not Metro Manila?
uh well, a lot of them actually has never been to the Philippines,
Yeah.
right? And
So they really don't know when you say,
so when
or
they
do
say
they ask
Manila,
where your
like,
operations is, or they
yeah,
don't ask?
some of them would visit, right?
Yeah.
When because we normally spin them off once
Yeah.
they over. So when once they grew us,
Yeah.
and that was really like a really great thing about working for Full Suite, because they're never gonna be forever Full Suite,
Yes.
right? Once they outgrow us, we then spin them off
Yes.
into a separate company. So when they come here, they get shocked that like, oh, you're not in Metro
Yeah.
Manila, right? You're in here, but they already seen us how we work.
Yes.
So there was never a hard sell of like, we have talents as great as the
Yes,
ones
yes.
in Metro Manila, because they learn about where we are. Like they didn't they don't have any biases,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Of like, oh, the talent is
Because
only.
they haven't also been to the Philippines.
Yeah, and they don't say
They
that.
just,
Yeah.
judge us based on your performance.
Yeah. And it's through referral.
Yes.
There's already a success story, and they say, oh, you could get the job done. Can you do that for me as well?
So I'm so excited. Your Mindoro branch. When will you open this?
This is, we're preparing now, so
I think
hopefully.
Attorney Giselle and I would want to be there in your opening.
Yeah, and I'm also doing San Carlos, so we're actually
Okay.
doing
You're
two
Negros
offices.
and Mindoro.
Yeah. San Carlos is where I grew up, so that's
Definitely
really like,
you
it
need
feels
to
like
be
home.
in San Carlos.
Yeah. So
So how many jobs did you commit to Negros?
Ah.
With their 10,000 jobs goal?
yeah, no, I'm not. This is never gonna be like. It's always going to be 100 to 150 organization
to
in
be
each
able to
location.
maintain
Yeah.
your
I mean,
full suite
San
culture.
Carlos, I mean, once San Carlos works, like, there's so many, you could always, but yeah, I have to keep the organization below 150, or the culture will start to suffer.
That's so exciting, Maggie. Thank you for
No
believing in the
worries.
Filipino people.
Yeah, happy to be here.
I think
Thank you
for
for
my
the
last
opportunity.
question is, while everyone's obsessing over coding or prompt engineering, their reports all say the most in-demand skills today are still the human ones: communication, creativity, leadership, and collaboration. What do you think it is?
Yeah, I think the soft skills would become very, very important, because the soft skills, right, is the ability to read what is not said. It's the ability to.
Because the AI doesn't have feelings.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And can hallucinate, and the job of humans is really,
To look for that nuance, right?
Yes.
And pick it out. And also, it's also really harder to replicate. Like, once you have just that, like, for example, the emotional, like the EQ, right?
Yes.
Like, EQ is hard. Like, you just don't. It's something that there's no shortcut
Yes.
with it, and that's why for a lot, like, professionals or like young students, right? There's no better way to start working on these soft skills. I would say soft skills are more important than technical skills, because a lot of the technical work can be done with the AI later on. And when the soft skills, and you practice curiosity, right? You're
Yes.
always curious how does, right? And you're always, confident that because most Filipinos, they think asking questions is inferiority,
Yes.
right? No, you have to be confident enough to ask questions and say, oh, I don't know that.
Yes.
Why would you do this, right? Like,
Yes.
you have to be confident enough to tell your boss, it doesn't make sense. Why
Yes.
would you do this? Would it be,
Yes.
right? Because not having that skill set leaves so much room for you to, like you won't learn, because
Yes.
if you don't ask, like, your bosses, your managers, they're not mind readers.
Yes.
They don't have a crystal ball. They don't know what
Yes.
you truly understood. Only through your questions,
Mm-hmm.
right, that they'll be able to then provide more context for you. So,
And
I
I
would
think
say,
the Filipino people should learn that skill to ask more questions, not
Yeah,
to be shy.
definitely.
Don't think of themselves as inferior for not knowing that. I think it's a cultural thing.
cultural thing. Like, when I was young, I will never say I don't know, right? I would say, I know like after, but now I'm like, I don't understand. And when you that, and you say I understand, I don't know the answer, without shame, a lot of, you learn a lot, right? Because most people are not judgmental.
Yes, yes.
It's just head that, like, oh, they're gonna judge. I
Yes.
don't know. That's like,
True.
oh, okay, I'll explain.
So we'll keep on reading Curious George.
Yeah.
Thank you again so
No
much,
worries.
Maggie, for
Thank
being
you.
with
Nice to be
us.
here.
Thank you so much, Maggie, for being with us, having this conversation with us. It's refreshing to talk about AI without fear and instead focus on how we stay human in the process. To our listeners, if there's one thing to take away from this episode, is that your creativity, your empathy, your ideas still matter, probably even more now. Again, I am Mary Chris, and this is Work and Talk in PH, your go-to podcast for lifestyle insights, career convos, and real estate realness, where chill convos meet real life lessons because it works.